Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Asa. So Asa, welcome man.
Hey, good to be here. How are you?
Good man. So yeah, we've been trying to get this organized for a while now, so it's good that we finally made it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
So you were officially typed not too long ago, and what was your official typing result?
Well, my official typing result was double feminine, TI over SE, and then consume, play, sleep third, and blessed last.
So you are an ISTP
Yeah, some
standard.
sort of an ISTP, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that standard, but I'm an ISTP.
Yes. Maybe less assholeish than the other ISTPs.
Well, it depends who you're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in general, the asshole thing is about not uh, not actually managing your demons. And,
Right. Right. That's
so
definitely what it is.
yeah, so it goes for every type. I think you can be an asshole in many various ways.
Yeah.
So and this is something that is so nice to learn about this whole field, that people can can actually see in what way they are being an asshole, or just not to the not the best person they can be, and it varies from person to person. So I think it's fascinating.
When you got your official typing back, how did you feel and what did you think of the results?
Well, first let me tell you about the background story. I heard about OP, and I started to consume everything that I could about this whole methodology. And throughout my consumption, I self-tagged myself as, I realized, many others as an INTJ. Um, Still influenced by the folklore of the MBTI, about what INTJs are like, where they're all in their heads. And um, so I I actually thought for a long time that I'm an INTJ, and then I had scheduled a phone call with Shen, not with Dave also. And just the minute that she explained to me what my type is, it just clicked. It just, like, what they say about TIs or TISE is that we're always like logic block banging to try to understand how things work. So it just worked, and it was like a relief for me, because I knew that then I can actually engage my problems, and it's like receiving an accurate map of the territory, so I can now actually navigate my life. Yeah.
Your first savior is consume and it's ST. So let's talk about that. Is that what you're doing all day? You're just consuming like facts and details?
I don't see it as facts, actually, because I think it has something to do with my third NI being masculine and my sensory being feminine. So I'm not actually that concerned about facts. I don't remember the facts, but I do remember the patterns. So I'll just consume as much as I can about learning anything, actually, anything that interests me. It changes. It changes from can be month to month, or I can go 4 months learning about something and just you know um, consume the hell out of it. So yeah.
Gotcha. And then what about your play? That's your second animal, right? So it's SF. So like what SF stuff are you doing with your play? It's also double feminine, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it as double feminine, because I always see myself as overbearing and, like, sometimes too much for others with my energy. Like, I think that my play is like you would expect play to be. Like, I'm trying to get a reaction from others via humor, or just like some sort of a stinging humor. Um, so um, yeah.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Um, Now your sleep is the demon, but it's double masculine. So how does it work for you?
Um, well, I don't. uh, The fact that I have it doesn't mean that I understand it fully. So I don't actually know exactly what does it mean that I have this sort of sleep. But sorry, I just turned off my phone. Um, but it feels like I've learned something, and then I try to understand it and just see how it manifests itself in reality and see if it fits my overall conception of how things are. That's kind of abstractly put in, but yeah, that's
You're,
as far as I can.
you're block banging inside your head then, and it's
Yeah,
double. So it's very intense. It's very,
yeah,
uh, it's very serious. You know, it's
yeah. I can tell that people are looking at me from the outside, and they will say two things. First, why are you so concerned? Because it seems like I'm so concerned because I'm so into my inner world. And the second one is that I seem focused and just I can I can do it for whole minutes, which I think is a long time for a person to just like there's
yeah,
something in my head that I just have to understand.
right.
Um, and it feels like I'm building some kind of 3D model inside of my mind, like I'm actually moving parts and comparing parts and asking myself questions. So if this is A, then this means B, and if it would be otherwise, then yeah, so banging blocks.
Gotcha. It's kind of interesting. We both have the exact same kind of like not exact same orders for animals, but we both have double feminine play and we both have double masculine sleep. But
Yeah,
the way we do it is very different. You know, your inner world is very um, logical. You know, block banging, while my outer world is the logical one. My outer world is the NT. You know, so
yeah.
kind of interesting. We have that opposite. My inner world is the SF and it's double masculine, and that's your outer world. So it has that interesting kind of
Can,
different.
can you repeat your type for me, please, for
Uh,
this interview?
yeah,
Just so I'll have it in my mind. Also, feminine sensory forgets facts very quickly, and yeah,
yeah, so I'm an ENFP, NETE, play blast, consume sleep, and masculine feminine.
consume, sleep, masculine, feminine. Okay, good. I've
Yeah,
actually written this down.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I just
yeah.
sent you by chat too. um,
Okay.
no, but so basically, it's. I just think it's interesting that we both have, you know, like I said, double masculine inner world and double feminine outer world, but it's different because your outer world is
Yeah,
that's my inner world though, right? And
yeah.
then yeah, so
Different saviors.
no, I meant like your outer world is the SF and it's double feminine, but my which is your play, but
Yeah,
my outer world is also double feminine like yours, but it's NT, like which is the
yeah.
opposite of your
The abstract and logical. And yeah,
yeah. But my inner world is double masculine, just like yours. Yours is also double masculine, but mine is SF, which is your outer world. So it's
yeah. It's just the extroversion and the introversion
yeah, yeah,
that is flipped.
yeah, but the intensity, the double feminine, double masculine is the same. So I find it interesting that for you, when you go to your inner world, it's more like you're block banging. While for me, when I go to
Yeah.
my inner world, I'm processing my emotions. So it's different, right?
I
Uh,
was about to ask, how does it feel to have this kind of sleep, this kind of inner world?
oh, I always want to like kick someone's ass, you know,
Okay.
like
What way?
like when someone pisses me off, like I get so mad. It's just like a
Oh, yeah.
burning anger inside, but I can't express it outside unless you really tip me to my edge. So
Yeah.
like because the double masculine inside is really aggressive and it's emotional. It's not like logical, right? It's pure rage, right? So yours is like pure like intense concentration on block banging, but mine is not.
Yeah. Which is completely detached because, see, I understand what you're saying about your sleep, but I cannot identify with it. I have no notion of how this might feel.
Yeah,
So perhaps if I had seen you, then I'd know.
yeah, but and
So
I can't understand how you can be detached from your emotions. That to me is like it's good and bad at the same time. I like it's mostly good in my opinion because you don't get attached to whatever it is that you're working on too much. I mean, I don't know if that's right or not. I mean, you can tell me. But
I yeah, I don't feel detached from my emotions. I feel that my emotions don't over well, they don't decide. It, it it's like a slow, quiet stream underneath, and if it even if it's intense, then my logical side is always like over it, and it's like it's like stereo. Um, I I hear something for my right ear, but I always actually complying to my left ear. So another thing that is interesting to me is that I'll actually have to ask myself what is it that I'm feeling in order to know what I'm feeling.
right.
Like people from the outside would tell me, Asa, you look angry, you look tired, you look sad, and
Yeah.
I'll just have to trust them because I'm so unaware of what I'm feeling. And yeah, I mean, I try to work on it, and I have been, and actually working on something like that is actually beneficial, and it works. Working on it, I mean, I can see improvements throughout the last couple of years. Um, but still, even though I know how it feels, it feels like it doesn't actually help me. Like, okay, good, so I'm sad. Okay, now what? So seriously, I don't know if this means anything to you, but sometimes I feel like it's sort of some sort of a gift because I can actually do things. Actually, I can actually act, you know, from what I think is right.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think it's mostly good. I kind of envy that because for me the emotion is the one. Like it's kind of like what you talk about the stereo, right?
yeah,
So the right one is the emotion and the left one's the logic. And I can
yeah,
hear both of them talking. The one on the right, the emotion is the one that's gonna win. Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So that's the one that's the dominant one. You know. So
My Mines feel like it's with the volume all down. So yeah, it's,
yeah. I mean, mine's both. Mine's not all the way down. Mine's like.
yeah,
I mean, your feeling is your fourth function, right? So my
and it's feminine.
it's
Yeah,
feminine also, right? But like my feeling is masculine and it's my second one, and then my thinking is my third one and it's feminine, so it's almost like balanced, so it's kind of
yeah. Since you're a double decider, so
yeah.
yeah.
But it's I find it interesting that you said like, yeah, now I know I'm sad, now what? Like that didn't help me with anything. I'm like, really? Okay,
Well,
interesting.
actually, it does. I believe in, and I've noticed in myself that, and as people, that noticing my feelings actually help me as a person, as a human being, as an emotional in part organism.
Right.
You know, like being close to yourself, accepting yourself, actually knowing what's going on inside of you. Now, obviously, I do take decisions based on feelings also, to the extent that I'm not aware of, obviously, but I feel like it's not the predominant, you know, reason.
Okay, since we're in this topic, we're gonna talk about we'll talk about your blast last, and
Yeah.
your blast is NF. So you kind of just did a very tiny NF talk there, and then you deviated away. You went back to ST and NT, right? So
Yeah.
let's talk about your blast last and NF.
Hopefully, you'll hear more about it, more of it in this interview if you'll ask me some questions. But yeah, well, I see my blast as a burning concern to talk and treat topics like the meaning of life and why we're here, and the the public obligation to certain things. So I I see it manifest itself very strongly only as blast. It's like my whole world does not concern anything relating to these topics, otherwise to other than to try to move others. So I guess that's kind of why it's a demon.
Well, your blast is the same as like what an ENFJ would have, right? So they'd like to move people, right? Like emotionally.
It's something that I really don't like doing. Now, in my work, I have two lines of work. I'm a social worker with youth at risk, and I'm a personal trainer, physical trainer. So let's say as a trainer, I don't see my job as motivating people. I see my job as explaining people how things work, just hoping that that will suffice. That once a person knows something, why does it why things work, then obviously they'll have enough motivation to do the things, because that's how I think. And once I have to actually motivate someone to work, or someone will ask me, uh, I, I I need your service so you can actually motivate me, then
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to actually help that person, because I don't think I fit to the job. Now, as a social worker, I work with youth at risk, which means that I have to actually control, organize, direct the this tribe of youth, and I find it very hard to actually to even stand in this position. I don't see myself as someone who's supposed to do that. I see it as being overbearing, as controlling, as who am I to tell them what to do? So
Or how to feel, because your blast is NF, right? Like you're.
yeah, yeah. Unless I'm very convinced that that's the right thing to do, and then I'm all in it.
Yeah.
So I'll have to actually Ti+Ni my my intention, and only then you can see me actually motivated and actually rolling. Because once I am, I'm in flow mode. So yeah.
Have you ever had a client that was like, when you were doing a personal training, that you already told them all the facts, all the reasons, and yet they still can't do the work? So then obviously you need to motivate them. You need to NF them now, right? So have you ever had to resort to that? Like you knew it was like, ah, shit. Like now I have to like pump them up now, like emotionally.
Well, I don't see the two mutually exclusive. I just think that the way I go about it is taking care of the logic, and on the way I'll get some motivational speech uh, things in it. Like I'll explain why squats are so important while I'm asking you to do squats, so you can actually feel what you're feeling. So I can ask you. So now you've performed squat with some weight that you haven't ever put on your back. How does it feel? Where do you feel it? So I mean, I do concern myself with these aspects of training, but it is all instructional. It
Yeah.
is all like from a teaching point of view, that you're gonna go the process with me in order to have something that you hadn't have before. You're gonna get out of these training sessions with knowledge that you can actually utilize yourself. I
Yeah.
don't like people to be dependent on me. I like people to be independent and have the knowledge that I've consumed throughout my years, and use it, because that's the best compliment that I can get. Um, the two most touching compliments that I've ever gotten in my life were when someone had told me, "Listen, Asa, we spoke about this advice that you gave me, and I tried it, and it worked. So thank you." This like makes me feel awesome, like good. There's a reason that I'm here. I'm valuable, and I'm doing my job. And the second one is that I'm fun to be with, which concerns my demon feminine FE, which
Yeah.
I'm always, I'm unsure of.
You're unsure if you're fun or not.
I'm not sure if people are feeling comfortable with me,
Yeah.
because uh, as I understand it, having demon FE means that I find it hard to gauge the social situation, and couple it with demon NI means that I actually always under the always sensing that I'm missing something, and then I'm doing something wrong, and then I don't understand where things are going socially. Like um, um, like I'm going to say something that will offend someone because having this masculine Ti means that I'm very concerned about saying and like being very precise with what I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can be quite aggressive with it. Like if someone would tell me, listen, I've been through this therapist and he gave me some crystal treatment, and I will be like, oh man, I listen, this whole thing is just like giant crap of bullshit. I mean, I just have to say it. It would be hard for me not to say it. Just just one example of how I'm, fucking myself up with my TIFE.
I want to see you work with like an INFJ client who's like all NF and like talking about crystals and energy and healing, and then you're like, like there's no science.
Please stop. Please stop. I can't talk to you. Okay. Good luck. Have fun. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
Because,
you're gonna fire your client.
well, no, obviously because, but it feels like I have to actually hold myself from saying what I feel is right. It's like if someone is saying something that I deem as not true, then it hurts.
Yeah.
It's like something is wrong with the world because you think that way, and it's my responsibility to fix you because this is how I think because I'm TI. So yeah,
Man, that's interesting.
which makes me kind of an arrogant ass. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is my asshole side.
Yeah. I mean, you're not trying to be an asshole. You're just trying to be correct. Precise.
I mean, I'm not even trying to. I feel like I'm compelled to, to communicate. Yeah, to communicate what I think is right because it's like this unconscious assumption that if I don't say what I think is right, then people won't know. If they want, then if they won't know, that they'd have they would make mistakes, and I don't know. It's just
Have you
weird.
ever had a weird request from a client? Like, I'll give you an example. So I'm in the same field as you. I'm a trainer too. So
Okay.
I used to go to people's house and I train couples, right? And I had one man, I think he's an ENFJ. He said to me, during the training, I want you to make me feel bad. I want you to call me a piece of shit. I want you to call me a bitch. Like, I want you to.
Yeah.
And then his wife was like, no, don't do that. What the hell? You know? And I was even
this is my part.
Even
this is my job. Done it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, and then so like a lot of my clients actually want me to pump them up. I have to go up to them and be like, like let's do this, let's kill it. Like you're like a drill sergeant. Like it's very motivational, right? But like the way you explain the way you train, it's very like scientific. It's very ST. Like you present the facts, you present the reasons, and that should be good enough. So I'm just wondering, have you ever had to go to the point where you had to like start using FE instead? You're like, let's do this. Let's get the work done. Like
okay. So there's a time for everything, and funny enough, I was a drill sergeant at the IDF. Yeah, I was at the IDF, which is you do your 3 years of compulsory. I don't know how you translate it.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, for you guys, it's not that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like in Germany or other countries. So yeah, there's a time to actually get into it and say, okay, good, one more rep. Now I'm not in it right now, but yeah, like leveling up the energy and bringing it on. And I think it's much more effective if I'm only do it when it's necessary.
Right.
I've seen the reaction on people's faces, like, oh my God, my trainer has gotten crazy, and I better perform this one last rep. But yeah, people have many weird requests that yeah, people. It seems to me that people see their trainers as some sort of a psychologist, or I don't know.
100%.
Yeah. It's a projection of the authority figure and maybe the savior. The father figure. I don't know, but I've had a few weird requests, or just when people just open up to you.
Yeah, they tell you their life story.
Yeah, and it puts you in a situation where you have sometimes a lot of responsibility, not only for the secrecy, no,
Privacy.
confidentiality,
Yeah.
privacy, but also for their, you, it puts you in a position that you're actually acting as some sort of a therapist. So I happen to actually study and practice therapy as a social worker, but I just see their resemblance. It's it's amazing.
Yeah.
It amazes me every time.
I want to talk about you being a double observer now. So they said that double observer, it's very easy for you to gather information and then organize that information.
Yeah.
So for me as a single observer, that is super difficult. So what is your process for, being a double observer? Like, what is the ease between, freedom and control, or whatnot?
Well, I think that first of all, according to the definition of being double something, is that it's so convenient and automatic that I don't actually understand my process. I just do it. So I can try and explain how it feels, but I'll have to have some sort of example for it. So I'll be
Like,
glad if you.
okay, like let's say you read a book. What do you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I personally don't like reading books. I like listening to books. I don't know if it has something to do with being, I don't know, audio consume, or I have no idea.
Sure.
I'm not even sure if I have audio consume, but um I just I just listen to lectures and books and tapes all day, all the time. Music or learning, just 24/7. I, I I I find it difficult to do anything without headphones on me and
Yeah.
consuming some. Yeah, it is it is unbearable. I can't go to sleep without anything in my ears. I can't go to wash the dishes. It's just impossible. So while I'm doing it, I'm always thinking to myself how everything that I'm learning is um is can be organized in some sort of a larger knowledge body that I already possess. So I make connections like, oh, this lecture is just like this professor who talked about this thing. And when Jordan Peterson talks about this principle, so it's just like, I don't know, Nathaniel Burnton's this principle. So I feel like I'm obligated to connect the dots and always try to minimize everything that I consume into the most compact and elegant way possible to explain it to others eventually, which I never do because I have classes. So, but I do the process.
I think maybe the consume from audio could be from a play savior, like you like conversations, or hearing someone talk. So that could be from that. And
Okay.
and then when you said that you like to go inside your head after you gather
While I'm
information, so are you
while
putting,
I'm gathering.
while you're gathering, are you putting them in your
Yeah.
NI box then? Is that what you're doing? Like,
Please explain what you mean by NI box here.
well, with INTJs, they have an NI box, right? Like they don't want to gather new information, because what they want is already in that NI box, right? And they just want to.
Okay. Yeah. So it's more like a comparison to what I already know, and it's not me asking myself, does it fit? And if not, I'll put it out. It's just, do I have to open a new bucket for it? If not, then I already have a bucket for it. Like these lectures pertain to, I don't know, this kind of philosophy, or this lecture is pertaining to this kind of training principle,
Yeah.
and just yeah, it feels like I'm gathering lots of stuff, and then I'm putting them into little boxes, and which I try to have as few as possible.
Okay. And then how do you organize the stuff in those buckets?
Well, I'm always on my computer creating files that I actually I actually organize these principles in many various files that I hold in my computer. It's like a weird list making of everything that I've learned. It's like making a list of, let's say I've listened to Jordan Peterson's books, okay, about 12 rules for life, or I don't know, and I take his principles and then I write them down, and then I'll try to actually narrow them into, like, I don't know, how I see that they can actually be 8 rules, and then I'll try to fit other rules that I've thought of myself or have heard other places, and then I'll make a model of what are the rules that Jordan Peterson should have had for life, and then I'll just sit on it and try to expand it a little, and try to create like sub rules for every rule at the most efficient way that is possible. So it's like holding a fantasy that maybe one day I'll write a book, which I never have, obviously, but it's like I have to gather it all and put it in at the best way it can be presented to others eventually. So one could have the whole knowledge and be able to consume it as fast as possible and as accurately as possible. The same I did with yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Now I was just gonna ask you, would you say that's because you are an energy dominant? So you want the information to be presented in as little words as possible to make it as efficient as possible, where you can learn the information the best possible way with the least amount of words, or it's kind of like
yeah,
you know, like Dave and Shan, they did a talk on the guy who wrote the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And they said that like it's not really 48 laws, it should be a lot less. It's just that the guy was an NE dominant, so he just kind of like took all this concept and just threw it in this big book, and he's like he could have easily narrowed down to a few more concepts. So that's like what you just said, right? Like with Jordan Peterson's book 12 Rules for Life, you said it could have been 8, right? So
yeah,
is that what you're doing then? You're trying
or 5. Yeah, it feels like it's my obligation, but pertaining to energy and information, I have my first animal is information, and my first function is information. So it feels like it's actually the interaction between being energy dominant and having the information first, like taking the information and putting it in most efficiently. Yeah.
Well, I'm just going by op terms, right? In op terms, if you don't have blast and play,
Yeah.
blast and consume in the first 3, then you're an energy dominant.
Yeah, so I'm an energy dominant, but to my understanding, they also said that there are the pure energy dominant, which are also the the first animal is also energy. So I'm not actually that pure energy dominant. I think a lot about how to go from one point to another in the most efficient way, time and energy wise. But I don't see it as my freak out.
I see. Okay, so someone like Dave is the pure energy dominant because he has like blast and sleep in the first 2, right? So
yeah,
he's not really his information gathering is right in the bottom, like play or consume.
Well, no, blessed should be information, right? No.
What's that?
I think blessed is information. No.
Well, it is,
So
but
yeah, so it wouldn't be the pure form, but let's say you say energy or information.
well, I mean, there's a lot of things that's confusing about op. Like, for example, they say that when you use play, you can use play to gather information, right, from the tribe, right?
Yeah, yeah, right.
And then like, what about blast? So the way they explained blast was like you're throwing something on the wall and it's gonna bounce back to you, like So, and that's how you get more somehow.
I understand them explaining blessed as they're throwing things on the wall, but not actually listening to what's coming at you afterwards. And they also said that you can actually learn from doing your blessed. So you can actually, wire yourself to the field of knowledge that you're blasting through the blast. So
Because
yeah,
you're saying some stuff and then you'll realize what you just said and you're learning from
yeah,
yourself essentially.
yeah, and also teaching is the best form of learning. So yeah,
So
it's,
you're missing that because you have blast last, right? But you're doing it in real life. You're a personal trainer and you're social worker.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Two of my jobs are very blast dependent.
So, yeah. So how's
So,
that? Do you feel like it's helped you with your blast last?
well, I think it helped me with. It's not only blast. It's also my extroverted decider. I mean, I'm working with people all the time and
Yeah.
with people all the time. So yeah, it helped me, and I think it feels like it has made me a better person than I have been before. Like a more open and more considerate and more balanced person that I've been.
Okay. Well, let's jump into the good stuff then. So let's talk about you being an IP. So IP, fear, tribe, hate. So let's talk about that. Like, have you
The
ever?
good stuff. Okay.
Yeah. That's the good stuff, of course. Like, what? So how have you ever experienced tribe hate in your life where it like absolutely made you freak out? Like, let's talk about your freakouts. You know what?
Okay. Weirdly enough, it doesn't feel like a. Okay. Once people hate me, I don't feel too bad about it. Well, it depends. It depends who. But generally, I don't fear the general tribe hating me. I fear it's more complex than that. I think. I'll try to explain. I fear what people might think of me and what they would feel uh, from me. But once it happens, I'm. It's like the fear is gone because it's like a roller coaster. Like the major fear is when you're like getting up and expecting the fear. So it feels like I'm always walking with this fear of what people might think and what people might say, and uh, uh, like fearing that I might offend someone. I have this notion all the time, and once it happens, so I think that I'm more capable of actually, engaging the situation and actually talking with people once they're, I don't know, hating or condemning me. And also, I don't see it as fear of tribe hate. I see it as fear of tribe condemnation more than anything.
Okay.
Like if they would say that I don't know, that I'm wrong or that I'm a bad person. This is something that I'm really really concerned about. Like if someone would say I'm a bad person and give an example, I'd be like very embarrassed and yeah. So and I mostly see this demon manifest itself in the realm of relationship. Like it's really hard for me, and I would imagine anyone of my type to to you can see the demon energy coming into play to to hold the thought that someone close to them or precious to them is mad at us at them. So yeah,
So are you dating right now? Do you have a girlfriend or
no, I don't. No.
okay. Now like how do you what do you think that's gonna be like if you know like let's say you get married or whatever like
Uh, you mean like if I'd I don't know break the dishes and my wife would be mad at me? Like how would I?
well I mean
I'm being ST concrete, asking you for an example, so I can actually, you
yeah I'm trying to think
know,
of a concrete example right now.
good luck.
The the thought process had just disappeared from my head right now. I don't know why.
Okay, okay, okay. You can give me some abstract example, just a little more narrowed down.
You said something along the lines of like getting close to you or something like it just flew out of my head right now, sorry.
Yeah, if someone who is close to me or precious to me would,
Yeah.
yeah, would see me in someone as someone who's harming or I don't know, immoral. So I'd be very, I'd go out of my way to redeem myself, and it will haunt me and actually put me out of balance. Like it feels like the world is burning. Like there's something inherently wrong with the situation, and I have to fix it, to redeem it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like kryptonite.
Can you tell me a story when you had a big tidal wave?
An emotional tidal wave. Every breakup.
If oh, every breakup. Okay.
Yeah, breakups just put me down in a way that I cannot explain. Cannot. It's like it's a giant emotional tidal wave that having not having FI, I'm also don't see myself as responsible for how I feel, just for how I act. So I'd be very depressed and very not only depressed. It feels like I can actually feel it in my body. Like I was dating some girl I really liked just recently, and we got really close. And then she said she gave me the speech that of you're a really nice guy, and the minute she said this this thing about me being a really nice guy, my stomach just dropped, and I could feel like uh, heat coming through my body, and yeah, like all my energy is leaving me, and here it comes, um, and it just feels like I can actually feel it in my stomach. And now this is something that we hadn't been very like it was very short acquaintance, and it was nothing that any of us could say that was eventually going anywhere, but it still it yeah, it hurts. So
I see. I see. So it almost feels like you didn't have the tools to deal with your emotions when it happened.
it's not only that I didn't have the tools. Well, now I actually have, because it happened after my typing, and I actually used my TI and realized that I I actually have to pick up the phone and ask my friends to be with me, and tell them what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
it was
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I actually used this knowledge to I actually said to myself, okay, listen, this is your demon. You're having something that is really difficult for you, which helped in and of itself, like just knowing it, and say to myself, like what I'm experiencing is it has a name, it has a reason. Then I'm not that the reason that I'm feeling that way is not because it's real. It's just because this is my demon and this is my weak spot. And the thing to do is to actually treat it as extroverted function, that I have to process my feelings with others that I can trust and respect. And yeah, so it kind of helps.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Cause like that's how I see my NE. Like I don't my ideas doesn't come out unless I process it with people. Like I have to talk to people about it.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So but
So
yours is feelings, right? You have to talk to people about your feelings, and that's how
yeah,
you process it. Oh, that's crazy.
which is also what I actually do as a well, I shouldn't say therapist, as a social worker, but in social work we do sessions of you can say therapy, like emotional talk, and through these meetings, that's actually what I do. So it's funny how easy it for me to walk someone through this process, yet I find it very difficult for me to do it myself. So
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Um
too
because
close to heart.
you're also a single decider. They said that single deciders have fear of pain, and your pain is from FE, so emotional pain, right? So
Yeah.
I guess this is just kind of like what you just explained, like you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just exquisite pain that you cannot explain. Why is it so painful at the moment? And well, I can try and explain more how it feels, but I think you get the point.
They said that single observers are obsessed with things, and single deciders are obsessed with people. So let's talk about your obsession with people with related stuff.
It's funny because I see myself as someone who's obsessed with things and systems and procedures, and more than I actually see people sometimes as part of a system more than actual people. So
Well,
I don't understand exactly what this means, but
well,
um,
they yeah. Sorry, go ahead, finish.
I do see that I do not freak out about things or about systems or about perception. I do freak out about people and um, status or comparison. Or, yeah, so I can totally see that.
Okay. Are you religious?
No, well, it's complicated. I have never been religious, but I have discovered throughout my life that there are certain dimensions to this thing we call human being, and one of them is a spiritual dimension. Like everyone has a spiritual dimension. Call it what you will. It is a part of our collective psychological, biological, neurological makeup. Like we are wired to have some sort of religion or spirituality in our lives. So I've been in touch with certain spiritual practices, you can call them that way, like David Ada, The Way of the Superior Man, if you're familiar with.
Yeah, I read a book.
It's a very famous one. Yeah, so it really speaks to my heart. And uh, in my line of work, I work with addicts. So I've come across AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and
Right.
I just I admire the way that they see spirituality and religion as they see it, and I think this is something that it's a program that, addict or not, people should take part in this wonderful thing. So I don't know if it answers your question, but I don't believe that there's a personalized something that has anything to do with us as people, like nothing omniscient or like a major consciousness. But I do feel that there's more to this reality than just these physical particles and physical laws. And it's like it's like you can understand music, you can understand the principles underneath it, and the reasons, the physics that makes up a sound. But this doesn't bring the experience down. This doesn't make the experience obsolete. So much with love, so much with personal interaction, so much with meaning. So it feels like this relates to my atheism. Like, yeah, I'm an atheist, but there are so many ways to experience spiritual experience. So
Well, I mean, if you were born in Israel and you grew up in Israel, does that make
yeah.
you Jewish then, or were you Jewish at birth?
Well, that's um, people in Israel are born with, well, it's like in your ID paper, they write that you're Jewish, but this doesn't mean that you're a believer or that you practice anything.
Yeah.
Um, so if I'll ask a fellow Israeli, what is Judaism for you? He can reply, well, my mother is Jewish and my father is Jewish, therefore I'm Jewish,
Yeah.
which sounds kind of racist to me. They can say, yeah, it's practically racism. Sorry for the controversy. They can say, well, being Jewish is uh, my religion because I'm practicing Jewish religion. Good for you.
Yep.
Okay. They can say it's a culture because it's something cultural. They can say that just having it written on your passport means that you're. I mean, it doesn't mean anything unless you actually do something with it. And I do not adhere to any definition of religion. I mean, it sounds stupid to me because well, I'm Ti+Se. It's just a definition. It's as true as other people believe it and regard me differently,
Yeah.
being in a certain religion. I don't know, be it
Well,
Buddhism.
I went backpacking once, and I was in a country called Myanmar, and I met this Jewish guy there from Israel, and he's
Okay.
from Tel Aviv. And then I told him when I was in Jerusalem, the Jewish people were not friendly. Uh, they actually tried to scam me, and they hated people. But I said that the Tel Aviv Jewish people were friendlier. Uh, I like the ones in Tel Aviv, but not the ones in Jerusalem. That's what I said to the guy, right? And then he said to me,
Okay.
"I'll tell you a secret. It's like a lot of the younger Jewish people, we just do lip service, but we actually don't believe it anymore." So I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that seems to be what you're confirming.
I don't think I represent the majority, but I do think that throughout the world you see people flocking back to religion, and people live in religion, and
Yeah.
it's a back and forth that you can see mostly today, because globalism has made it very close to your hands. I, I it's a Hebrew expression. It's very available to learn about new ways of living and thinking, so everyone can choose their own life today. So yeah, but it doesn't mean anything to me. Religion.
It doesn't sound like you get huge tribe hate like freakouts, because I think maybe a feminine FE, so you're more soft, or double feminine play, so you're really soft with a tribe. So
It doesn't seem like a freak out, but it hurts inside. Like it's like it's enough for someone to say that they, well, today you know, the more you learn, the more you mature, then you can actually balance yourself. But um, at my adolescent years, if a girl would say that I don't know, I don't look good, or she just don't like me, and she wouldn't explain why, then this can, I could drag it with me for weeks, like feeling bad about myself.
oh, okay.
So it's not something you see as a freak out, like freak out per se, like I'm freaking out and I just, you know, you see me beaten down. So
But I think everyone would be beaten down if like you're like a young guy and like the girl that you like doesn't like you. Then isn't that normal? Like,
well, uh, yeah, I think it is normal, but it's all relative, you know,
yeah,
the temperance.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Okay, fair enough. Okay, I have last two questions for you, and then we'll wrap up the interview. So first one
that
is,
was quick.
yeah, that was quick. It just
Yeah,
flew.
play second. Yeah, so
Yeah,
second.
yeah, it definitely makes a big difference. Um,
Yeah.
so, what advice can you give to other ISTPs who is having trouble with, that fourth function FE? How can they work on developing that, making it better, and reduce the amount of tribe hate that they could potentially have, or at least the anxiety of having tribe hate?
Okay, now you're talking. Well, I don't think you can reduce tribe hate, nor tribe's condemnation. First of all, you have to realize that that's what it is. If you're an ISTP or somewhere close to having demon FE, be it third or fourth, then actually understanding that this is your type, this is something pertaining to your psychological makeup, this is just how you react, and this is not you. This is just, it's like it's like your body. You know, your body does many weird things, but it's not you. So um, just knowing that this is something that you have to deal with is something good to know. And also knowing this gets you more focused on other things. Like, I know that this is my weak point, and it actually helps to know that, well, I'm kind of good with all the others, so great, good for me. So this is kind of, uh, to lift the spirit. But otherwise than that, just, I can tell you what Shannon gave me as an advice. Just try and fail. Just fail as much as you can. And being blessed less is something that I really don't like doing. Like, I'm not putting myself out there. So this is something that I would say to someone who's close to my type. there are many things that I can advise to do, like put yourself out there, like in a systematic manner. Use your TI to fix your life around other people and around social interactions. Like I, until age around 17, I was very shy, extremely shy, and extremely closed, and extremely unaware of how to actually interact with people outside of, using very crude humor and very sarcastic humor, cynical humor. And it took me my my service in the military to actually put me out of this cocoon, and it thrown me to actually work with other people. As I said, I was at a certain time a drill sergeant, and I had to actually, you know, actually put myself out there and talk to people. And not only that I had to actually control and listen to them and pertain to this balance between taking care of my conscripts uh, and keeping them in line. And another thing is that you have to have close friends. You just have to, and you you get close friends from not only listening, not only from consuming others' problems and trying to TI their problems, but also opening up yourself and showing your vulnerability. So the antidote to having this kind of demon is actually embracing your vulnerability and just using your vulnerability to your advantage, because this is your cure. This is where the solution is found. And yeah.
I like how you did that in a typical blast last way, which I think is
Yeah, it's blast last, and you can see the NF blast, like I think, like now there are many other advices that I think I can give, because I actually have written these things down, because
yeah.
being a TI, I'm systematically like saying to myself, okay, this is what I have to work on now, and this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to put myself here, and these are the people that I have to talk to, and this is what I have to give up on. So yeah, I have plenty. I have a list.
No, I meant like whenever I talk to someone that's blast last, I think my girl is blast last too. Blast last people tend to go around in circles until they get to the point. So you got to
Oh,
you got to the point in the end when you said, open your.
yeah, vulnerability is
Yeah, exactly. But it took you
yeah,
like you had to go on a big spiel before you got there, right? So it seems
yeah,
like a typical blast last thing is to go in circles, and then you find that point, and then you have to go in circles first before you can get to that point, which is I
yeah.
just find it so
That's a
fascinating.
weak point of mine. I recognize it. It's very, yeah.
No, but it's for me it's very interesting because I was like, how can someone that has blast how do you speed up that process going around in circles to get to that point? It's like making me
You
think.
yell at them. You yell at them and say, listen, Asa, just think about what you're gonna say, and then say it, and then I'm good. I can
You can
I
say
can
it.
actually handle
You can say it. So someone has to yell at you first.
it. No, but my boss and my current job, she just realized really fast. She's definitely an ENTJ, like the proper, typical ENTJ, and she
Okay.
would say like, okay, Asa, stop, think about what you're gonna say, and then just say it, and then I'll go to sleep on it, which is my third, and then I'll actually be able to organize it before, organize it logically, and then I'll say it. But um, I think it's also good to review your thinking process. Now, you could actually hear what I'm going through before I'm actually realizing with you that, well, yeah, vulnerability. Now have written this before to myself, but now it's unavailable to me to blast away.
Right.
So
Fair enough.
yeah.
My last question to you is like we have completely different functions. Do you have any questions to me about functions that you don't have, like FI, TE, SI, or any?
Yeah, here you can see my daemon FE coupled with my consume together. I would very much I would be very interested to know how does it feel to you to interview someone like me compared to other types. Like what how does it feel like, in your gut? Like I know it's a broad question and it's a very personal question. It's a very, like,
Yeah.
yeah, but
I, I, I've,
it
I've always had tons of ISTP friends. So for me, when I talk to ISTPs, I feel like it's, I don't know, comfortable, I guess. Like it's just, there's like a natural synergy. I've always had, I, even a lot of my mentors in fitness was an ISTP, you know, like,
you seem calmer. You seem more calm than your other interviews. But I think you actually, well, probably being FE second, you feed yourself to the person that you talk to unconsciously, right? Is this something that you
depends who I'm talking to. Like if
experience?
I'm talking to someone that's, you know, like let's say a consume sleep person, then I'm going to be talking more, I'm going to be more high energy, right? Because
Okay,
I'm trying to pump that person up with energy because they don't
yeah,
have a natural play reservoir, right? So they have to
yeah,
borrow from you. So I give it to
yeah,
them. They
and
have the,
fill up the interview.
yeah, they have the power now. Then they can talk, right? I mean, sometimes it's difficult to interview someone that's play last because they just want to blast and it's a one-way conversation, or someone that's you know, play and blast demon. You know, it's just it's more challenging, right? If they have play or blast as a savior, either or, it's usually easy because they do all the talking, right? Like if I'm interviewing someone that's play blast or blast play, oh, they just do all the talking. I just shut up, right? And then, you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it depends who you're talking to.
So, but I was interrupting you. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying for like ISTPs in general. Like for me, it's not like okay, okay. Let's use Benjamin as an example, right? Like he'll probably watch,
Okay.
but I don't care.
What's the, sorry, I didn't get that.
No. Like okay, like whenever me and Benjamin have interviews, it's so awkward.
Benjamin. Okay.
It's so awkward, right? But then
Okay.
when we turn off the camera, it's normal. You know, it's like fine. Actually, I talk to him normally, and it's good. But I was like, what the hell? Our interviews are awful. Why is it so bad?
I think it has something to do with the pressure being, out there. Like, I don't know how people would view me. So I actually feel very reserved right now. Very, on edge and reserved. I don't feel very comfortable or like and can be as open as I would, being one on one. So I think that this can bring some tension to the other person, especially if you're FE. So you can probably take on it. And no,
That could be an IP thing, if anything, because
okay,
I think like you know when I've interviewed other types, they didn't seem to care too much. Like it's like once they got going, that reservation or that self consciousness kind of like it kind of just floats
forget.
away. It's kind of like public speaking. You know, you're scared the first few minutes, and then it like goes away, and then it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I noticed, I guess, with IPs, it's like there's an ever present self consciousness that never kind of
and tension. Yeah. And look, it's I feel this self consciousness all the time, like this tension of like, what am I doing right now? Am I good enough for myself to actually prove my own actions? Am
yeah.
I am I spending my time the right way? Am I thinking the right thoughts? So yeah,
Well, I mean, like from a double decider perspective, um my paranoia never comes from that. My paranoia is it's not like how am I coming across. For my paranoia is like, do I have the right information? Is my information right, or am I full of shit? Like that's my fear, right? Like I don't want to be full of shit, right? So I want to make sure I'm presenting the correct information. So I am an dominant, right? But like, you know, like that's my fear. Like for me, the tribe fear, yeah, I have it, but it only lasts like the first 5 minutes at most, and then it goes away. uh because I'm a double decider. For me, it's like tribe and self, it's kind of relatively balanced, right? So for IPs, it's like, you know, what they say, you have like a weirdness when it comes to the tribe, or weird, you know. So
yeah,
it's like for me,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, like this, it's not to be weird about. This is, it's fine. Like, you know, like I mean,
It,
what are you?
it,
What is it about the tribe that makes you like? What is the weirdness about the tribe? It's kind of like me. I have the weirdness with the SI, right? So what is the weirdness with the tribe for you?
well, you can go explain it through different angles. Like there are many theories that you can view this from. Um, but if we try to use OP terms, I don't know, man. I just
Yeah.
it's just like it's like something that enacts in me. Like, I don't know. It's just,
You know
it
what?
feels, I know. It feels like I have no control over it, and it has power over me. And if the tribe would hate me, then I'll have nothing to do about it, and then I'm done. Like, I I need the tribe to survive. So yeah,
You know, I really feel like life is not balanced, where I think that EJs and IPs actually have it harder than EPs and IJs, because I feel like the things problem can be controlled. Like the things you like problem can be easily controlled. But when the people problem, oh my god, I don't even know, like that's something you can't control, you know? The people problem, that's hard.
yeah, and you don't want to control it. Like, you were talking about the 48 Rules of Power by Green,
I'm not
and
talking about controlling people. I'm talking about
yeah,
like the people problem. You don't have the you can't just, it's hard to fix. It's harder to fix a people problem than a things problem is what I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
but a printer you can actually fix, and then you're done.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to get
Yeah,
at. Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, my freaking printer's busted. I can fix it. If it doesn't work, I can send it to the shop. If it doesn't work, I can go buy another one. It's easy, right? But for you,
yeah.
people problem, that thing's not gonna go away. You know, it's hard. You know, like
Although it does feel like it makes me work on myself more as a person,
yeah.
and it motivates me to actually work with people. So not only to work on my demons. I mean, it probably unconsciously uh, uh, drove me to actually see how I can actually work and maybe help other people. So I think that there's something good about, being so freaked out about.
Oh, camera went down a bit. All right, everyone. I'm not sure if Asa is going to come back, so I think I will wrap up the interview right here. See you again, everyone. Bye bye.